Well, we're back again with yet another No Fluff analysis, and this time I'll be going over the new Gala Dragalia Summon Showcase running from the 29th of May until the 3rd of June UTC. I've written a medium-sized essay, actually, just in order to put together the notes for this video, so hopefully it's worth it, because we're going to be dealing with a lot of units. The first one being the 5-star Wind Sword Gala Leif, the White Sparrow. So Gala Leif is a dual stance character, and his attacks and skills change depending on his stance, which are the striking stance and shielding stance. These can be swapped between at will. Gala Leif's first skill is Feathered Gale. In striking stance, this deals damage to enemies and reduces their defense by 5% for 20 seconds. In shielding stance, this becomes Sparrow's Protection, boosting Leif's defense by 60% for 15 seconds. His second skill is Pinion Slash. In striking stance, this deals 3 hits of damage to enemies in a line, totaling 1,528% damage, and reduces their strength by 5% for 20 seconds. Poisoned foes take 1,833 damage total instead. In shielding stance, this becomes Parrying Slash, which deals approximately 2,316 damage over 3 hits, as well as inflicting poison. Foes with reduced defense take 2,779% damage over 3 hits instead. Gala Leif has a unique co-ability, which is Reduced Strength and Defense Punisher, dealing an extra 8% bonus damage. His Chain co-ability grants wind units Strength double buff, granting 10% strength for 15 seconds. Gala Leif has a new ability of debuff skill time plus 20%, which increases duration of bleed and strength/defense debuffs. Leif's second ability is White Sparrow's Vow, which is basically just a fancy name for Full, Freeze, and Bog Resist. Leif's third ability is Flurry Strength. Note that his stance's unique combos activate at combo count 6 or above. Striking stance activates a rapid, flurry-based combo, while shielding stance replaces it with a slower, heavier hitting combo. His combination of stances and the effects they have on his skills make Gala Leif rather difficult to evaluate. Gala Leif's unique combos have their own modifiers and SP gain values, making number crunching difficult as well. Due to enemy debuffs and afflictions boosting his skill effects and damage, Gala Leif's rotation will encourage him to stance and maintain debuffs on the enemy to maximize damage modifiers. His Strength double buff Chain co-ability could possibly encourage him to use Sparrow's Protection as a strength buff as well, though whether or not a 10% strength buff is worth the 3,456 skill points remains to be seen. The second adventurer on this showcase is the 5-star Light Wand, Radiant Xuanzang, the Radiant Sealer. So note that she is not a limited unit, but since the showcase is added alongside the new event and the new units, I guess they sort of decided to add them together. Anyway, footage-wise, the English Dragalia Lost Twitter never actually uploaded a translated video about Radiant Xuanzang, so I've had to rely on the Japanese Twitter's footage instead. Anyway, about the adventurer, Radiant Xuanzang has a unique charge gauge mechanic, which is charged by her second skill. At full charge, her next skill or 4-strike gain a unique effect and consumes the charge. Radiant Xuanzang's first skill is Surging Light, which deals 1 hit of 1,610% damage to enemies in a line, reducing their strength by 10% for 10 seconds and inflicting paralysis. At full charge, this becomes Bright Flash, dealing 1,880% damage and reducing enemy strength by 25% for 10 seconds. Paralyzed foes take 2,820% damage instead. Her second skill is Coalescent Light. Xuanzang's charge gauge takes 100 points to fill. Coalescent Light fills the gauge by 20 points with an additional 10 points for each nearby teammate. It also increases Xuanzang and nearby teammates' shadow resistance by 20% for 10 seconds. At full charge, this skill becomes Light Stream, buffing Xuanzang and nearby teammates' strength by 20% for 15 seconds, a permanent shadow resistance buff by 40%, and inspires the entire team. Radiant Xuanzang has the standard wand co-ability of plus skill damage. Her Chain Co ability grants light units 6% shadow resist when at 80% hit points or above. Radiant Xuanzang's first ability is Shihe's Radiance, which grants Xuanzang her charge gauge mechanic. At full charge, Xuanzang's Force Strike deals extra damage and reduces enemies' paralysis resistance by 20% for 20 seconds. Radiant Xuanzang also has Poison Resist and the new debuff skill time ability. So, Xuanzang's charge gauge takes a minimum of 2 uses of Coalescent Light to fully charge. Each of the charged abilities are also very powerful in the right circumstances. The permanent 40% shadow resistance from a charged light stream seems very powerful, but I guess whether that's useful depends on the future Light Agito's attack patterns. Her poison resist makes it difficult to justify trying to fit her into a high Zodiac team, so it might take a while before we can judge Xuanzang's viability in endgame fights. However, in a few days we'll see the Omega difficulty of the current raid, so perhaps then her skill set might then provide us with some more insight regarding her effectiveness in difficult content. The next adventurer added with the showcase is the 5-star Light Axe Zhu Bajie, the Indebted General. His first skill is Bursting Fury, which deals 852% damage to enemies ahead, inflicting stun. This deals up to 1917 damage as the user's hit points decrease. Note that this skill is also shareable at the cost of 5 skill share points. Not sure what to call it, but that's what I'm going to call it for now. His second skill is Macho Charge, which makes the user unhealable for 10 seconds. At 30% hit points or below, this buffs strength by 20% for 10 seconds, and at or above 30% hit points, this reduces Zhu Bajie's hit points to 20% and grants him a Divergent Shield for 80% of his maximum hit points. Zhu Bajie has the standard Axe Defense Co ability, and his Chain Go ability grants light units 10% shadow resist at 10 combo or above. Zhu Bajie's first ability is Rampaging Boar, which grants him a 3 charge level 4 strike that deals increased damage to paralyzed enemies and also grants knockback immunity while charging. He also has Curse Resist and Resilient Offense. Zhu Bajie is a much more mechanically simple character compared to Radiant Xuanzang and Gala Leif. While the kit itself is simplistic, the unhealable debuff on Macho Charge makes it quite difficult to use. You'd have to be very familiar with the fight to use it effectively. Sources of life shield such as Peony and Grace are ideal supports otherwise. However, his Resilient Offense ability also encourages occasional healing. Maybe Cupid could be an effective stand-in for a healer such as in High Zodiac. I could see Bursting Fury being shared to other characters that like to be at low hit points, such as Aldred, Belina and Natalie. While Chelsea, Valentine's Addis and Veronica also fight at low hit points, their range means that you typically have to roll in a couple of times to hit with an Axe skill. The next adventurer added with the showcase is the 4-star Light Lance Wujing, the Deadly Tactician. His first skill is Crash Armament, which deals 2 hits of damage, totaling 680%, to a target and nearby enemies, and has Skill Shift. Phase 2 deals 757% total damage and debuffs the enemy's defense by 5% for 10 seconds, while Phase 3 additionally charges Wujing's second skill by 30%, as well as dealing 825% total damage. Wujing's second skill is Obstruction Armament, which creates a debuff zone under the user for 10 seconds, reducing the defense of enemies inside by 15%. This skill is shareable for 6 skill share points. Wujing has the Lance Co ability of plus hit points, and for his Chain Co ability, he also grants light units hit points. At maximum Co ability level, this grants a total of 24% extra hit points for light units in Wujing's team. Wujing's first ability is Ascending Skill, which means that his skill damage increases by 6% every time he uses a skill, and this caps at 18%. Wujing also has Curse Resist, and his final ability is Assailant Strength, which grants a bonus 8% damage against enemies with fewer than 70% hit points remaining. So Wujing doesn't have amazing damage, but I think he would function very well as a supporting AI adventurer. He's a relatively strong addition to the non-limited Light Lance roster, though I suppose there isn't too much competition, considering the only other non-limited light lance with curse resist is Rosen, and, well, he just spams defense buffs. Regarding sharing a second skill, if your strength buffs in a quest are already quite high, I actually think this skill could be better than using Elazan's strength buff, since the defense debuff would be multiplicative rather than additive to your bonus damage. Alongside the event that was added, we also have the 5-star Welfare Light Dagger, Wukong, the rookie sealer. Wukong's first skill is Ruyi Jingu Bang, which deals 546% damage to enemies in line with skill shift. Phase 2 and 3 deal 573% and 600% damage respectively, and have increasing range from 4 to 7 units of range to 10 units at Phase 3. Wukong's second skill is Furious Flurry, which deals 4 hits of damage, totaling 1189% damage to enemies ahead. Wukong has the standard Dagger critical rate co-ability, and for his chain co-ability, he grants light units shadow resist at combo count 10 or above. Wukong's abilities are Demi-Human's Bane, 100% poison resist, and Paralyzed Punisher. Overall, Wukong is very basic, but will work well against the raid he was released with. Paralyzed Punisher as his third ability means that he'll have to rely on another adventurer to enable it, but in a raid environment this shouldn't be too difficult. All in all, there's not too much to say about Wukong as an adventurer since he's so simplistic, but be sure to get all his mana nodes unlocked with the free resources from the raid. The dragon added with the showcase is the 5-star Light Dragon, Shan Gongzhu, the Ravishing Rakshasa. She grants light units 30% hit points and 35% skill haste. Her skill is Energizing Fan, which deals damage to enemies in a line and energizes the entire team. Shan Gongzhu, like most dragons, is fairly simple. I think she'll work well on healers, as well as Light's only focused buffer, Chitose. While not part of the showcase, we also have some Wyrmprints added alongside the update. The 5-star Wyrmprint added is Here Come the Sealers, which grants 4 strike damage and Striker's Strength. This is a frighteningly synergistic combination. I could see quite a few 4-strike centric characters using this to chew through wave content. I believe we'll be seeing a new type of event in a few weeks that could take advantage of this. The 4-star Wyrmprint is Flowers Under the Moon, granting striking haste and critical rate at 70% hit points or above. I think this could be used well by most sword adventurers due to sword's propensity towards weaving 4 strikes into their combos, though whether this is still true after update 1.20 remains to be seen. However, I think it's still pretty likely. Alongside the raid event, the 4-star Welfare print is Happy Times, granting strength double buff and shadow resist. I don't think it stacks up particularly well against our existing selection of 4-star strength double buff prints, but this could be a decent budget option if you're lacking the old water to spend on better double buff prints. Well, all in all, I've already uploaded my poll video for this showcase, so you know where my opinion lies. However, this is a unique Gala showcase in that new non-limited units are also ranked up. Personally, I appreciated this since it made it a bit easier to pull for the new units alongside the limited one. But, as always, people seem to complain that there are more focused units. The rate for the Gala character is the same, it's always 0.5% at base. As for Gala Leif, it takes a while to gauge his power level, but given that Brotel already uploaded solo clear of Expert Ciela while piloting Leif, I think it's pretty safe to say that Gala Leif is a solid pull. Anyway, let me know what you guys think of the adventurers. Like, did you pull for Gala Leif? Have you had much luck? What are your opinions on having the focus adventurers? Would you rather have only 0.5% focus and then like the other 5.5% of 5-star units being split across dragons and adventurers equally? Or do you prefer the fact that, you know, there's the 0.5% and, well, I think both Zhu Bajie and Xuanzang both have 0.5%? Yeah, so it's equal among those two and Gala Leif as well. He gets his own 0.5%, regardless of whether or not there are additional focus units. I don't know. Personally, I think it's a good thing that they've put them together, but people's opinions vary. Anyway, thank you guys very much for watching until the end. This has been a slightly longer video due to just how much content I've had to cover, but hey, take it easy, stay safe, and I wish you luck in your upcoming polls.